Hey everyone, and welcome to another video from our brand new kitchen. Today we are going to be making buckwheat crackers, originally inspired by Marcus and Carl's video. You may find that video in the description, but anyways, I've added my own tweaks and perks. Also, the detailed recipe will be coming just right up. So the very first thing to do is soaking our buckwheat for 6 to 8 hours at least, preferably overnight, and then rinsing them and putting them in a sprouting jar or whatever works. A regular jar works even as well, just putting a cloth on it and then letting the water dip down. Just don't forget to put it upside down, otherwise it may get moist or mold could get formed. After soaking, the buckwheat is already edible, so don't forget, if you're in a hurry or you're making recipes on the go or who knows, and you don't have time for sprouting, after rinsing them for the initial 6 to 8-ish hours or so, then you can already make your recipe, so don't wait for it. But don't forget, sprouting gives us many additional benefits. Like the sprout itself of any seed is like the life force. It's full of protein, full of active enzymes, vitamins. Like the little, or like the whole plant is just forming from that little sprout. So waiting for like a couple more days, 2, 3, you could go maybe even 4, 5, 6-ish days, then it's worth it. I mean, look at the beautiful sprouts, like true living food, which you should eat as often as possible, probably every day, if you ask me. Also, since we are not heat treating our buckwheat, which by itself would be quite a starchy food, then we are letting the starches be resistant to human digestion and providing true food for our gut bacteria. They just don't live off of anything else. They need true, raw plant fiber. That's their main food. Cooking the starches breaks down the carbohydrate chains into simple sugars, raising our blood sugar, raising insulin, leading all kinds of health problems. So just please be aware, the more you cook your food, the more you destroy also the vitamins, the enzymes, the life force in it, and causing just more simple sugars, which leads nowhere. So now that we have our buckwheat ready, let's start making the rest of the recipe. The other day I've made some homemade pumpkin seed butter as well, so this time I'm using that one because I have really nothing else at hand. But whatever works, whatever you have really, I suggest using maybe walnut butter. That's kind of unconventional, but I suggest you make your own. Get some really true raw walnut from your local farmer market and then make your own, or like everyone's favorite, the peanut butter. It's really good, high in protein, high in fiber, good fats, so make your own butter. Seeds are slightly bit more digestible than nuts, for our human bodies at least, so I suggest them being more optimal. Choose seed butters if you can over nut butters. For example, tahini, which is made from sesame seeds, and tahini is so unique because it has its own antioxidants, prevent the oxidation of its dominating polyunsaturated fat content. By itself wouldn't really be so healthy, like in many other plant oils, like soy, canola or sunflower. Really, those are really rich in omega-6s, inflammatory oils, and if you just look at your local stores, most of the stuff is made out of these oils, so I really do not recommend them, and please read the labels. Then we're adding some cauliflower and carrots as for our wet, watery part of our recipe. Vegetables in general are just really high in water volume. Usually 80 to 90% of them is just pure water. If you looked at any nutrition data for these vegetables, I also suggest zucchini. I just haven't had any at home at the time of making this recipe. So the additional benefits of using vegetables over water is, of course, we get the nutrients, right? So, for example, one thing I would speak highly of in particular is potassium, because hitting the 4700 daily recommended potassium intake is just super hard for people in all these average diet all around the world. So 4700 milligram potassium is a lot, like almost 5 grams. You could measure it on an average scale, right? So just think about it like that. Blending a kilogram of cauliflower and using that instead of water in any kind of recipe you are making at home, then you will already have hit 3 grams of potassium, so you are kind of covered. So the next step, we are adding some red and white onions, 3 or 4 pieces, or to taste. Some people like more, some people like less. or on some days I could feel like eating like a whole big chunk of garlic, so it's just really good. To make our crackers more consistent and together binding in texture, I've decided to add just a few teaspoons, like 3 or 4 teaspoons of ground flaxseed and psyllium husk. This kind of stuff just binds the stuff together, making it like, you know, cracks less. I know it's a cracker, but it will help. Also, don't forget those very high omega-3 fatty acids in flax. You should eat 1 tablespoon of flaxseed every day, no excuses, just put it into whatever you can. Then a pinch of sea salt and 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. And finally, our main ingredient, of course, like 3 big cups of sprouted buckwheats. Now this is the time that everyone's been waiting for, right? We are blending them up real good, everything just in the blender, easy peasy, like never before. It will become like this very smooth texture of like a batter, I guess we could call it, depending on how much binding agents and nut butters you put it, the more thick you become. And then we are pouring it onto our non-stick dehydrator sheet. I strongly recommend buying an offset spatula if you don't have it at home. It helps with lots of recipes and make creativity only be your limit. So I leave the topping ideas completely up to the wonders of your wildest imagination. But anyways, it is what I chose to go with today. Adding even more finely minced little red onions onto a cracker, but make sure just to throw them inside so they really stick, because when you like flip it into the dehydrator, it might just fall out, so put them real good in. Also throwing in some freshly chopped parsley. I also find some random tomatoes, lol, so I just thought, why the heck not, you know, couldn't hurt putting a few on top of it, so there it is. Also throwing some hemp seeds on it for the really high protein and omega-3 fatty acid contents again. You can never get enough omega-3, or rather be aware of the balance of your omega-3s to omega-6 ratio. It's a good advice to pay attention to in your daily diet. Then added some white and black sesame seeds as well. We've already discussed the benefits of sesame seeds or the powder made from the tahini, so there it is. Then we are adding some freshly ground mixed colored pepper. Peppers in general, like black pepper, really just increases the uptake of nutrients in your small intestine. So I strongly suggest everyone really put black pepper into any dish you eat. Like that's the reason we are eating, right? We are eating to provide building blocks, food, energy to our body. And as much as we can increase the actual utilization of it, just make it happen. Then we are drizzling a little olive oil over it. I know there is already a little oil in it, and it's never a good advice to go like, you know, too crazy with the oils, but a tiny bit is good, just so it doesn't dry up. I know, again, we are making crackers and it should be dry as hell, but some portions of it is nice if it dries up later. It gives it also a nice texture. And it's also a nice aesthetical addition. I just cannot leave oregano out of any dish I make. Please put or season your food with at least a teaspoon of oregano every day. It's so crazy, it's so packed with antioxidants, it's like doubles the whole value, the whole picture of your food, of your daily intake, so please go ahead. It's also a natural antibiotic, fight against pathogens, and last but not least, it also tastes good, at least to my taste buds. Then as my last choice of topping was just some cayenne pepper. I sprinkled a few over, just for the looks. I wanted some more reddish additions. And also it's also really healthy, like all peppers we previously discussed. Also, who would have thought you can make your own toothpaste out of cayenne pepper? So now this is all nice and done. We are putting it into our dehydrator for 6 to 8 hours. After these few hours, I suggest cutting them into your desired shapes, or if you don't want them, well, up to you, you can break them up later when they are completely dehydrated. And also after some time, we need to flip it around, because we need to let the moisture out from underneath as well. And here's our final result, just freshly pulled out of the dehydrator. Please take a look and enjoy. If you like the video and would like to see more in the future, then please hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell icon so you are notified every time I go live or upload a video. Also like, dislike the video, share the video, whatever you can do to boost the algorithm. Tell me your opinion in the comments, whatever works, and thank you all for watching.